Good afternoon. How's everyone doing?
Good, thank you.
Good,
Okay.
thanks.
Good afternoon.
Ron, I see you in here. We'll give folks a few more minutes to join in. Is Jerry going to be joining today?
Yes, Sean, I think he will.
Got it. We'll give folks a few more minutes here.
Sean, before we get started, if I could, we've got a number of folks from the FHWA New York Division office that are on. And they're primarily interested in just using ProjectTracker to look up project information on the STIP. I had asked Jerry, is that something that we could go over as well today? It's just how to do some queries and look up some project information.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great. And also maybe how to access ProjectTracker. I know some of us are still working to gain access as far as logging, the steps for logging in and.
Yes, absolutely.
Great, thank you.
That was going to be the first thing, is requesting access to ProjectTracker. So let's see. I believe we have more people than were on the invite, but I think we may have everyone. Is there anyone we might be waiting for still?
I don't think so, Sean. I think this is everybody.
Awesome. All right, let me share my screen. I will start the recording. Oh, we're already started on the recording. Great. I'm gonna throw in the chat, and Ron, Jerry, Rexy, I had to do this in our testing environment. I know we're confirming data in there right now. So after this training, I'm going to remove what I put into place. I just accidentally crashed staging this morning, so I had to pivot quickly to testing. For this training, I've tried to limit the impact on the data we're QAing. So after this call, I will delete what I've put together for today's training. Awesome. That link in the chat, this is the link to the testing environment. This is where we're going to have folks go to request access to ProjectTracker. So the way it should work here, right now you see email and password, but if you actually go email, I'm just going to put a placeholder email. My email is already in the system, and I go here and I click log in. You should be redirected to the NYSDOT 2FA portal to put in that RS, or to put in your password, and then go in and put in the RSA code. Question here, Ron and Jerry, is this the steps that the DOT or the feds use currently to access the prior eSTIP platform?
Yeah, I believe it is, Sean.
Got it.
So could I ask a question, if I may?
Yes.
Will the federal staff need to obtain a token to be able to log in to create an account?
That was Ben, right? Ben,
Yes.
that was just for the eSTIP, because we had some cyber issues, some security risk issues to download that video desktop and all that, you mean?
Right.
I don't believe so.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks, Rich.
And so this is Gautam. Just circling back to a question I asked Jerry on Friday, and I know the weekend in between, so not expecting an answer. But does this mean that we should be using our USDOT emails to log in and not the EXT user to this single sign-on then?
Yes.
Okay.
But if not, I'll check with yeah, the extender, the EXT user one was specifically for the video, the virtual desktop. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Rich, let's let Sean confirm how the login's going to work. Sean, can you confirm whether or not they're going to need an RSA token to log in the ProjectTracker?
I believe that is what we've been operating off, Jerry. So it is. Sorry, I don't. Let me go here. Sorry, 1 second. This is probably gonna be too much in chat, but probably the most simple, straightforward way. Here's all the emails we have configured for SSO for New York in our system. So I see here we have the dot.gov. So when the FHWA and FTA folks put in their @dot.gov and they go to log in, it should redirect them to this screen here where they would put that password. And I do believe they would need that RSA code on the next screen.
Is it possible to have federal folks create the account without the RSA token? Because I'm just thinking there are a number of staff in my office that don't currently have one, a token, that is.
It is a possibility. I think that goes to the state side and their security protocol, so I don't want to be the main answer there. Let's see, Jerry, because I could set up accounts when I reset the system. I don't really have much access post setup to add in new accounts. Currently, I think we could configure that to be a possibility. But once again, I think that goes to the DOT, their security protocols.
Right. We have to check with ITS on that, Sean. So, Ben, what I'll do is I will send an email to, we've been working with Pavan and ITS, and I'll email him as soon as we get off this call or while we're on the call to check and see if there's any security issues with us going that route and not having to deal with the RSA token. So I will find that out.
Okay, yeah, that's great. Thank you, Jerry.
Got it. Yeah, and Jerry, once you have that answer, I can work with our team because I know when we had talked with Genesee, they were like RSA token. I was like, yep, we have to go that route. But I believe there is a path forward where if for the feds you wanted to make that accommodation, we should be able to support it. But yeah, at the current time, no. If I create accounts right now, if I create accounts right now, post pushing and setting up testing or production, I can put accounts in there. I currently can't at this time. One thing I can provide for the testing phase is I did create like 5 testing accounts. So in the interim, during this testing week or QA week, I could provide a couple of those testing accounts to FHWA and FTA for folks who may want to log into the system, pick and click around, but may not be able to access the RSA token at this time. But once again, if you do have the RSA token, you are welcome to go through this path where right from that login page here, if you put in your email domain, if you're able to access a RSA token, you could log in. You'll go ahead, put your password, then put in that token. You'll come back to a screen that says request access. You'll just click that, and then the DOT team, myself, can review and set up your account credentials.
Sean, can I ask a quick question on that?
Yes.
Right now, we have the UAT environment and the form that Lauren worked on creating for users directs them there to request access. If folks request access in UAT and receive that, will they then have to request access to production once we're in there all over again, or will those users simply be migrated over from the UAT to the production tier?
Yes, they will have to request one more time in the production tier because they are separate databases.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. I know logging in and accessing was a big part of today. Don't want to breeze through this. So it seems, Jerry, you'll check in with ITS to see if I could create federal accounts or if we could have them be, created post-launch without going the RSA route. But any other questions about accessing the system, requesting access, or logging in at this time?
Yeah, Sean, when we go to production, is it a possibility that depending on what New York ITS says, that we might still have to use a token every time to log into the system?
Yes, I think at the end of the day that goes to the ITS. So if they say, if Jerry reaches out to them and they say today, hey, FHWA, FTA can set up accounts without going the SSO or RSA token route. I will be able to set up accounts before we go to production for any and all FHWA and FTA folks that are on this call or, the list that Jerry, Ron, Rexy may give me. We could create those accounts with passwords so folks would be able to access the system. And then we'll just have to do some minor changes on our end to support any new federal folks who may come in after the system goes to production to allow them to create an account with just email password and not going this RSA token method.
Okay, yep, thank you.
Let me go back here. So from here, I've already logged into the system. My admin account, of course, is just an internal one, so I'm not tied into SSO. When you put in your email, your password, oh, yes, Raymond.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. Ray Tomzak from FTA. Just a quick question. I'm assuming you guys will send out like a set of written instructions for everyone to log in. I think there's 3 or 4 people from my office that were not able to attend today.
Yes. Yes, Lauren, and I believe you rewrote those instructions last week. Is that correct?
I included those instructions in the form that we're going to be sending out to make sure that everyone can verify they have access to the system.
Got it. Okay, and we could send that out to the federal users after this call.
Thank you.
Yeah, I believe Ron's going to send it out later.
Awesome. All right. And from here, whether you can go the token route or, if we have to go to token route, we'll go through those additional screens through the New York IT portal to use that RSA token, or if we're able to set up email password. When you log into the system here, I'm just in an incognito browser, so I'm going to hop back over to my main browser. This is where I've logged into the system. When I click log in, I am brought to the dashboard screen here. What the dashboard screen will show you is the statuses of projects in the STIP. Right now, we just repushed data last night. Everything is in an accepted status from here. I will get to approving changes in the system, approving formal amendments as well. But I will kind of just highlight how we can query projects and some of the features in the system here. So when you log in, if you're coming in not to approve, but you want to verify information, you want to look at information in the system, there's many ways in which you can access that data. From the dashboard screen here, if I wanted to, I'm going to go ahead and click into accepted projects, and you'll see what happens is I move to the projects tab. It pre-selects this accepted project status here, and it chooses the 26 to 29 STIP for me. If I wanted to as well, instead of if you log into the system, you already know the project that you want to view. You don't really need to click anywhere. There's an ID tab up here. I'm going to go ahead, type my project ID 004245. I will click into this project here. And it's going to bring me to the latest version of that project. And what I mean by latest version is if I click over here into the revision history, I could see this is clearly, I have one version of this project. If I had multiple versions, it's always going to bring you to the latest version of this project. When I come to the project page, you can view any and all information here. So I could see what project this is, what region it's in, any data field that's defined, title, description, project type, county, etc. I can go down to my programming information as well, and here I could see what funds are programmed for this project and for how much money, what phase, in which year. So this is viewing an individual project here. However, I can go back to my projects tab here as well. I'm just going to select latest over here, and I could start querying by more information on the left-hand side to find projects that I may be interested in looking at here. So if I go down to funding type, maybe I only want to see projects that have CMAQ funding in 2026. I'll go ahead, select these filters here, and now I can see we have 63 projects identified as using CMAQ in 2026. So just a way to kind of filter around the system to maybe find projects you want to see more information about. One of the other items we can do here as well is we can include additional data fields. So our project table has standard fields already: ID, lead agency, the status of the project, plan cycle, revision, title, project type, and total cost. But if I wanted to, I could go here and add in my air quality. Not sure why this is. I could do a change in total percentage as well to see how much it changed from the prior version of the project. So I have the ability to add additional data fields to my project table. Additionally, if I go over to reports, this may be another way, an interactive way in which you can find projects that you're curious about as well. So if I want, I'm going to go to my program summary by fund. I'm going to choose 26 to 29 STIP here. Based on your federal agency, you may want to limit which funds you're looking at. If I'm working on the FHWA side or vice versa, I may not want to see the other agency's funding. So here I'm just going to, in my report, select FHWA funds. That's going to bring all the FHWA funds in this report and exclude anything not within that federal category. And now I will generate my report here. And now when I've arrived at this screen, I could see right, all the different federal funds here. If I wanted to click into HSIP, now I'm going to view all projects that have HSIP funding associated with it. I'm clicking into that HSIP row to drill down to it further. So now I see each individual project that's utilizing HSIP and how much for each active year in 26 through 29. And now I can see there's prior and future columns. Yes, Gautam. I'm actually going to look at that right afterwards. I'm actually a little unsure why the air quality did not pull in with our data refresh. That is something certainly will be there. So from here, when I'm looking at HSIP, and I just wanted to share this just to show different ways in which you can query the system. I'm looking at all my projects in the STIP using HSIP funding. I'm seeing the funding split out across the years. And from here, whenever you're in a table-based report of this nature, let's say when you're reviewing information related to a project and I say 08-1096, for some reason, I want to see further information here. I'm just going to click on this project. And once again, now I go back to the project page. And here I clearly see, I come to the latest project version and I can see the detailed information related to this project, including a full scope of the funding information associated with it. One thing to call out here is for some, whenever you set up a filter or when you're querying projects in the system, if you know you're going to use this query over and over and over again in the system, there's no reason to go back and recreate it every single time. You can come up here, hit this little toggle and click Save New Filter Preset. I'm just going to call this CMAC projects. I could go ahead and set it as the default. Of course, you can only have one default filter preset here. I'm not going to set this one as my default, but I'll go ahead. I'll just set that CMAC projects up. And that just allows me, when I come to the projects tab, I have no filters put into place. I can come here, I could choose my CMAC projects, and I could just pre-populate those filters again without needing to go through them one by one and adding them all over. That's true on the projects tab here. And it's also true on the reports tab as well. If I wanted to add in filters over here, click the toggle, save new filter preset. And I'm just going to call this one HFWA funds. I'll go ahead and save it. And now I have this preset set here for me. Anytime I'm ready to run reports, I can quickly grab this and then run whichever report I would like to. Once again, you can only have one default filter preset on both the reports and projects tab, but you can create as many presets as you need or that you may repetitively use in the system. Any questions, any scenarios I could walk through with querying or finding project information in the system?
Is it possible to query the type of local match? Like for example, if it's an MTA project, could you query toll road local match?
If it's a local project, toll road. We do, let's see here.
Toll credit.
I don't think we fully have, let's see. I don't think we explicitly define the toll credits in the system with the fund type here. Do we know a project that may utilize toll credits, Jerry?
I don't have one off the top of my head, no, Sean.
Ray, if you don't mind, let me follow up after the call to go find out
Okay.
that a toll credit project, and then I can run that back by you.
Okay, thank you.
But we do have a variety of reports here today. I I'm not going to have time to go through all of them. Of course, I would say some of our most popular is that program summary by fund. Of course, here I was calling by FHWA fund types. If I want to go back here, I'm just going to call this report on all fund types in the system. So now when I go here, I see the FHWA funds, all of their subtotals. I see the FTA funds, all of their subtotals. I see our state funds here, our local and MTA funds as well. And just like when I clicked into an individual fund type and I saw all the projects that had HSIP, I can go to grand total as well. Now when I run this report, it may take a second just due to the amount of funding we have in the system. I'm going to see for each project all funding associated with it, you know, FHWA, state, local, MTA funding. So here when I look at 000822, I could see the state discretionary fund. I can also see our FBP funding as well. Another report when you're trying to, number one, find information related to a project, but additionally, when you're also trying to look at how a project has evolved from one version to the next. If I go to my reports tab, the project overview report, of course, I have to always choose a plan cycle whenever you run a report. I set up this March FHWA and FTA amendments as part of our training and walkthrough today. I'm going to select these two plan revisions here. And now I have a few toggles down here where I could say I want to include the funding changes. I want to include the previous amendment. We'll include map locations, project changes, etc. And I just need to order by, so now I'm going to choose, I'm just going to order my report by ID. I'm going to go ahead and generate now. And here I could see my project, Route 9, I-87 exit 13. I could see the current version of this project here. So our HSIP, our SDF, for each phase and year it's programmed for. Right below it, I see the prior version of this project as well. So I could see what the funding was. And we get that, you know, when you're looking at two tables, you have to kind of go back and forth to see, well, this has went up, you know, 200,000, 50K, down here is 50K and 6,000. If I scroll a little further here, I do get a entire overview of all changes made to the project. So I could see we moved this project into the March FHWA amendments, and then I could see my changes that we made in SDF and HSIP funding, the total federal project cost increase, as well as the total project increase. If I come over here as well, I do see that map location of my project. And I just put a few projects in here, but you could see, right, I'm just pulling this for each one of the projects, its latest version, its previously approved version, and then any changes that we made to the project, including financial changes.
Sean, this is looking really great. Thank you for sharing this. You said we're stuck on the view, the STIP period view. Is some of the projects and that I oversee go across multiple STIPs? How would you do it in that instance?
Yeah, Mark, could you dive in when you're saying they're across multiple STIPs, what we exactly mean there?
So, you know, sometimes down in Region 11, some projects, you know, extend for 10, 11 years. So you would be spanning over multiple STIP periods, you know, for an entire project kind of oversight. So you would see design back in the early years. So say, you know, 2010, you would see the design. Maybe it pops, it goes away, comes back up in 2017. It's still in design. And then, you know, then we start moving towards construction funding. So there would be multiple years. Any overview of something like that, or would you have to piece it together?
With the way that we approached bringing the data and getting it ready for go live, NYSDOT wanted to archive their old steps in their former platform, and just for data quality, clarity purposes, we only moved forward with the 26, 29 step. So for
Awesome.
those projects that were maybe in 23, 27, we won't have that version here. But as we build out the project over time, you will see, any version that exists in our system, you will be able to see fully.
I can't wait for 5-6 years. Thank you. Yep.
Yes. And then once again, there's some a few other reports, fund match detail, fund change detail. I don't want to necessarily dive into yet as we're doing some QA and just making sure everything's ready. But as you get your accounts in the system, really recommend just kind of picking and clicking in the system. I have my ones that I always promote to people. I always show based off usage rate and where we see people really, which reports we really see people using a lot. But I know, different strokes for different folks. So tons of reporting here. I'm going to click into the project list as well. The project list is just it's one line item per project. So it's a bit more consolidated when you get to those financials. But also another report that you can utilize to query, find projects in the system to export for reporting purposes. So here, when I call my project list report, I get my ID, agency, title, description, etc. Like I said, that financial, since we're doing, one line per project, it gets a bit consolidated here where I see the fund types being utilized and for how much. Along with my phases over here to the right. One thing I haven't called out yet, but when you look at these table-based reports, one item you're able to do is you can click this export button here. And I may need to give it a second. It's a rather large export. Let me do this. There it is. I just needed to change the filters. All right. When I export this, as you can see here, it returns all the projects in the report. By default, when you're looking at a report in our system, it's going to limit to 50 projects. I just updated this to maybe reduce the data load to have a quicker export. But here, if I look at my export 28, even though there was only 50 projects in the view, it does return all projects in that report. So I can quickly export this to Excel if you needed a list to provide to someone else, or for whatever reason, any of our table-based reports you can export to Excel. And furthermore, one of the items that you can do is include additional columns as well. So if I wanted to, I could add in, change in federal percentage amount, total percentage, total amount. So, when I generate this report here, I can clearly see change to Fed amount, Fed percent, total amount, total percent. So I could append these to my projects and make it kind of easier if I'm looking at projects that have changed, by how much did these change, total amount, percentage amount. So just like on the projects tab, you have a wide variety of additional fields that you can append to your reporting if necessary. Is there an ability to export to Google Sheets? I do not think so at the time. That's feedback I'm happy to get back to the team. We're always looking at ways we can expand on our system to make it more valuable. So Benjamin, happy to run that back to the team.
Yeah, please do, Sean, because USDOT has recently migrated to Google Workspace. So we are in the near future, we're going to lose access to Microsoft products, including Microsoft Excel.
Yep.
So this might be an issue for us.
Got it. I much prefer Google as well. Real quick, just for clarity there, the entirety of USDOT migrated over to Google?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Yeah, let me give that feedback to the team. I can follow up with you there. Let me just mark this down. Got it. All right, I will run that back to the team. I know just under half hour left here. With querying projects, looking at project information, do we feel more comfortable there? Is there any, any questions, any comments, anything I could dive into further at this time around querying projects?
Sean, I guess one more. Since we, some of us had lost access to eSTIP, we relied heavily on the PDF versions of the STIP, and what it's actually known as the tip strip for a project would be, just that entry into the STIP PDF. So, it'd show, much like you were just showing before when I had my first question there, kind of the 4 years of the project. That's the easiest way to just kind of get that tip strip printed.
Yes, and yeah, I think we can kind of pivot now because I'll look at what we call plan revisions in the system. I know
Okay.
we had our call at the beginning of the month, so I gave the feedback to the team about, well, I'm going to walk back to the dashboard. And then what I'm going to do here is actually, I'm going to hop into this account where I've set this up as an external reviewer. I'm in my FHWA reviewer account that I set up this morning. And so one of the main goals for the DOT is to bring you all in the system and allow you to approve formal amendments or other actions that need FHWA or FTA sign off. And so we do this by setting you up with an external reviewer account, designating if you're FHWA or FTA. That way you can get notification emails when there's something that requires your input. With the reviewer account, if I click into a project, you'll see you have no buttons to do any actions on the projects. You have, free will to go and view any project, look at any information, run any report. But primarily where the DOT will have you input data is if I go into plan revisions. Right now I'm set up as an FHWA reviewer. So when you click into plans and plan revisions, if you're FHWA, this is going to be defaulted to awaiting FHWA. If you're FTA, it's going to be awaiting FTA. And it just shows me plan revisions. So I set up this March FHWA amendment. It has 2 projects in it. If I click in here as the FHWA reviewer, what I see is, okay, we're doing an FHWA amendment. I have my tip coordinator date. Program coordinator and supervisor from the state have entered their approval dates. Oh, and I did this. Sorry, I did this backwards. Apologies. That's a blunder. Let me change this real quick. All right, awaiting FHWA. You'll get an email notification when this is awaiting your approval. So when the FHWA amendment gets to requiring FHWA approval, Anybody who is able to enter is an external reviewer for FHWA and can enter this approval date will receive an email notification that the March FHWA amendments is awaiting FHWA review. So when you come into this plan revision, the notification email will have a direct link here, or if you just log into the platform, right, once you go into dashboard, if I go into plan revisions, this is always going to be filtered to show you what may be right awaiting your review. I click into here. If I hit edit now, what you'll see is I can clearly put in an approval date. Now, down below, I see the two projects. I see the two projects that we have entered into the system as part of this March FHWA amendment. We do not have a tip strip or just the kind of generated comparison right now in the platform. Ron, and this is one thing I can update on that onboarding packet, but what we can do is have the DOT or the staff members upload that project overview report we were looking at earlier. So here what I'm going to do is just download this file that is attached to the plan revision. And this is going to show me the projects in the plan revision, the current version, what was previously approved, and then the financial changes that were made to that project or any data related changes made to that project. And I'm going to see that for both projects in the system. So if it's mapped, I see the map, I see the current version of that project, and then I see the changes made to the project funding down below. So I will see that if it's attached as a document here, a very quick comparison. Additionally, one of the things that we've set up in the system is for FHWA or FTA folks, if you click into the C funding changes here, these have all been designated as needing federal approval due to the amounts changed here. So this is a tool where Ron, Rexy, and Jerry at the DOT, and Richard as well, they can go in here. And for any funding that has changed on these two projects, a part of this March FHWA formal amendment, they can designate specifically which financial rows they need FHWA or FTA approval on. And what you would be able to do from here is click into the C funding changes to see fully which funding has changed on the project or has been added to the project itself. So I see for 576475, we updated CMAQ in 26 from 2.7 million to 4 million. We brought up the match for it as well to $1 million. And then additionally, we had another construction inspection increase to $1 million. We updated the local match to 250K. And then for project 104364, we increased HSIP from 50 to 200,000, the match from 6 to 50,000. And so for each one of these financial changes, what you can do as the federal reviewer is we can accept these changes here. And then if we see something in a project where, hey, actually we can't approve this at the moment, you do have the ability to deny that, and that will trigger notifications to the DOT team that these financial items have been changed or have been denied, and they can go in and course correct that project. Sorry, Mark, I may have got a little bit long-winded there, but I think there's, like I said, I've given that feedback back on the comparison. I think we can have the DOT and staff upload that project overview report to the monthly batch of projects here. And then also you'll have this funding comparison for any project in this batch amendment for any financial changes that have been made to the project. Any questions, comments there, Mark?
That overview report looks awesome. So that looks like it's going to solve it. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and like I said, yeah, and yes, Ray, totally, yeah, totally hear you here. And this is the way it should be set up in our system here, where we do break out the federal and the match on separate line items here. So for this 576475 project here, if I look at my construction phase for 2026, I see the CMAQ and I see the local underneath it. That should also be spelled out in that document here that we downloaded and looked at. And furthermore, if you just wanted to go look at the project overview report yourself as well, the way that I made this file was truly, this is the March FHWA amendment changes. When you're in here reviewing, if you want a more, if you want to, pull this report yourself, it would be, just going to the reports tab. I'm choosing my project overview report. I'm choosing the 2629 STIP, and I'm choosing that March FHWA amendment. The only other toggle I'm putting on here is I'm including funding changes. I'm including the previous amendment. I just need to sort by ID now, and I'm going to go ahead, generate the report. This is going to also show you, right, any Fed or local, federal and local match here. So essentially you're seeing that same report that I've packaged and put in the formal amendments, but this is just, built in the reports tab and not exported and uploaded. One final item when it does come to reviewing here, because you will, right, we will need the federal reviewers to approve or deny the individual financial changes here. But when you've reviewed all of the projects in their entirety here, if there's no issues with projects that have been added to this, March FHWA amendments, is to go in and just put in the approval date here. Because what you'll see is right now we're pending review. So these projects themselves, well, I denied 104's funding because I wanted to give an example. So it went from an accepted to a draft status because the feds denied financial changes to that project. We don't want it to be accepted if there's errors in the financials. But when both projects have been accepted down here, so we have accepted projects, but we have a pending formal amendment because we haven't received all the approval dates. But when you have come through, when you've reviewed the financial changes here, when we're okay with the changes that have been made to the project as well, I'm going to put in my FHWA approval date here. I'm going to save those changes. And since the FHWA approval was the last one that I needed, it will move this plan revision to an approved status since we've received sign-off from all levels that we need to fully approve these projects and the amendments that they are a part of. And just to highlight here though, real quick, right, we did 104,364. We denied the funding on that project as the federal approval. Are any comments, sorry, I'm going to pivot to this question. Are any comments we make under the comments feature permanently recorded, or do they disappear once action are taken? They are, so I can go here. I'm going to put my test comment. I'm going to go ahead and add that here, but this is permanently recorded. So if you want to make a note or a comment on an amendment, an action for one reason or another, you can put that comment here. It's permanently recorded. So that feature is definitely available as well. Looking at the funding changes real quick, 104,364, this is one. we denied these as the federal approval. We denied our funding changes made on the HSIP and SDF. So if I actually click into this draft project here, and I go back to my actual account, let me what's going to happen when you deny funding on a project, maybe there wasn't enough local match, over obligation, whatever reason, on 104.364, what we did in that March FHWA amendment was we denied the financial changes made to this HSIP funding here. The project itself had been accepted by NYSDOT. The revision had not been accepted. But since we denied the financial changes when we were reviewing the funding changes made to a project, this project does go back to a draft status. That way the DOT is clearly notified that some financials were denied with their project. They get an alert on the programming tab, and then with our little warning mark over here, we can see explicitly right, that project fund and detailed design HSIP for 200,000. It was 50,000. It was accepted by the DOT, but federal approval denied this change along with the local match for that fund. So this is clearly communicated to the DOT. Should you deny funding for one reason or another, we will revert their project back to a draft status and give them those warnings so we can come in and course correct any financial issues with this project. I know I was looking at this primarily from the FHWA side, not to play favorites at all. This is exactly how it will function for FTA reviewers as well. You would just be working primarily out of the FTA amendments in the system here. Where if I click into my FTA amendment, I could see here we're still pending FTA approval. I have my FTA amendment for March document here, so I could pull this up as well to see what projects are a part of this, what changes have been made. And just like on the FHWA side, if I click in here to the FTA amendment, I can now review these 4 financial updates made to the 2 projects. And I could choose to accept or deny these changes. I'm in my admin account, so I'm not an FTA reviewer. I don't actually have action or the ability to accept or deny these. So let me slide over to my FTA reviewer account here. When I click in here now, as the FTA reviewer, I go to see funding changes here. Once again, right, I can clearly accept or deny these. So I'll go ahead, I'll accept these. This first project change, I'm going to deny 382. And then if I click into 382 here, you'll see this has now moved to a draft status. And it's going to be due to denying these 2 funding changes to this project. I know we have 7 minutes left in the call. I want to take a step back to see if there's any questions, comments, additional context I could provide to the team.
Yeah, Sean, if no one else has a question, I do know that we have a couple of our finance staff from the FHWA division here on, and I was just curious if you could show, I don't know if it's possible in the test environment, the sort of tie into FEMAS and the ability to generate obligation reports. I know our finance teams can always rely on what's in FEMAS, but they may be curious about what shows up here. So.
Yes, let me give me 1 second here. I'm going to go about this a different way. We do have the obligation tab. Glad to have the feds here as well. I know we connect to FHWA's FEMAS. I'm not sure how looped in the state may be with some of the folks on the call. We recently had reduced access into our account, so we've been working with the DOT to get explicit permission to get New York's data. So it is a little outdated at the moment here. Let me run our obligation balance report real quick. And the obligation balance report is where you can come to clearly see which projects we are pulling in FEMA's obligation data for. I should have filtered that the other way instead of. All right, so I'm just running our obligation balance report. I'm running it on the STIP. I'm not choosing any other filters. And I guess to clearly call out here too, if you only select a plan cycle here, what the system will do is choose the latest version of each project within the 2629 STIP. I see we have TAP and STBG funding here for this project. For this Yonkers project, we have TAP and repurpose. I'm just going to click into this project itself and go over to my obligation tab. I can see we've programmed in 3.5 million. Currently, we have 345-ish thousand that's been obligated, and we have expenditures for $122,000. This FHWA program summary, what this does is this is just a calculation of some data attributes within our system to calculate how much the DOT has programmed here. So 2023 CMAQ, 2026 STBG Flex, and in 27 we have CMAQ and HSIP totaling up 3.5 million. Those numbers are calculated here. So if we go look at the HSIP, CMAQ, and STBG Flex, these all get added up to make our FHWA program summary. So this data is coming from ProjectTracker itself. The obligated and expended summary is when we start to pull in actual FEMAS data. So I could see we started getting obligations in 2024 for the 515 Transportation Alternative Program, 30.2, 315,000. And then we had expenditures. But I can see our total amount. Now I could scroll down to the obligated and expended details, and here's where I can clearly see all the granular obligations or expenditures made to the project. And you can sort these if you want, so I can filter by obligated up top. I can filter by expended here. It's going to naturally just come in date order, so I could see the last action we have on this project was de-obligating around $30,000 on December 6th. That was for one project. Like I said, I'm just going to hit that back arrow because that's going to bring me back to my report. So instead of needing to call this report again, if I just hit that back arrow out of the project, it brings me back to the report. And then here, once again, if I want to, I can click into this project, 176084. And here again, I'm just going to look at that obligation programming expenditure detail. Right, I see our program summary calculation. I see our obligated expended summary. And then down below, I see those granular details about the obligations and expenditures related to this project. Any other questions on FEMAS obligation? Was that helpful for the team?
Yeah, I'll defer to our finance folks, although I know one of them had to leave. So yeah, thanks, Sean. That was helpful to me at least. Yeah.
Yep, and like I did say, because if you come to the obligation tab, you will see this clearly. Like I said, our account with pulling FEMA's data, we're working through some limitations there with Jerry and team to get the full access again. So our FEMA's data is only current as of 1/29 this year.
And how often does the FEMA data get updated?
Well, when we had the full access to pull in and consume all the New York data, we were able to do this on a nightly basis.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, so we're hoping to get that reestablished soon. I need to check in. I'm not the one driving that effort with our team and the DOT, but I hope that we can get that sorted out sooner rather than later. The day that we get that resorted out, we'll be able to next day have the latest and greatest information and current to whatever day that is. I know we're right at time here. I do hope this was helpful for being able to access the system. So I'll wait for Jerry's guidance on the ITS if we need to go the RSA route or if I'm able to establish accounts for y'all with just email and password. I will definitely keep y'all in the loop there. I'm sure Jerry will as well. So once we determine which route we can go, we could sort through that. I hope you feel more comfortable being able to kind of query the system, find information you're looking for, and then also when reviewing those plan revisions, reviewing individual financial changes, seeing changes with projects. But once again, I just want to open it up one more time for any questions, comments, or items I could cover before we call it a day. All right, if that is it, I'll go ahead, I'll stop the recording.